Hello, and thank you for joining us this evening for our Cumberland Family Academy session. Cumberland Family Academy is a Cumberland County Schools initiative. The Cumberland Family Academy is committed to enriching the lives of children by bringing parents and guardians and schools closer together as equal partners. When families have high expectations for children and encourage them to work hard, they support and promote a child's academic, social, and emotional well-being. The purpose of the Family Academy program is to provide families with the necessary tools to support the success of their child's education. This evening, we have a special panel that will assist us in our discussion regarding college access. Our panelists are Jennifer Theel, Gretchen Walker, Irma Locklear, counselors from our high schools in Cumberland County, Nore Brantley from our Cumberland County School CTE department, and Rizzolo from our FTCC recruiter. Our topic tonight's top secret college access intel. Our first question is, what is the biggest issue or concern when it comes to applying for college?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gretchen Walker, lead counselor here at E.E. Smith High School here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Been here at E.E. Smith going on 11 years now. Prior to that, I was at Jack Britt High School, so I'm glad to be here tonight. So to answer that question, the biggest concern that I've dealt with in my years of being a counselor is families just not knowing where to start or how to go about the process. It can be very intimidating or overwhelming, especially for our families who are first generation college students. So I would say that the first thing you would need to do as a family is to decide, number one, what does a student want to major in? That is the first decision that you all need to discuss as a family. After you do that, I would say that you need to narrow down your selections as far as if I'm going to a 2-year college or a 4-year college. And then after that, go ahead and begin the application process. There are people in place in every high school to assist you throughout this process, starting with the counseling department. We have administrators who are well-versed, and also don't forget your child's teacher. They actually went to college as well, so they can also be a resource for you. So again, narrowing down where you want to go to school, what you want to major in, and then beginning the college application process.
And my name is Irma Locklear. I'm one of the counselors at Southview High School. I've been a counselor for about 3 years now. Previously to that, I was a college advisor in Robinson Community College. But I wanted to add what Ms. Walker was saying, but also deadlines, paying attention to deadlines. So there is one of those questions that come up a little bit later, but there is early application and then regular application. But a lot of our students are missing really important deadlines. So just keeping note of that.
Okay, we'll go on to our next question. When should students begin planning for the college application process?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Theel, and I'm a school counselor at Cumberland Polytechnic High School. This is, I think, my 3rd year there. Prior to that, I was at Cumberland International and Terry Sanford High School. So ideally, you should start the process in elementary school. CFNC makes it really easy to do a lot of planning for college, research, fun activities to have kids kind of start thinking about what they want to do, where they want to go. But most kids aren't going to start in elementary school. Middle school would be great, but again, most kids probably aren't going to start there either. So the minute you set foot in high school is very important to understand. Your GPA starts. Everything that goes on your transcript starts the minute you set foot in high school. So when you're talking grades, test scores, extracurricular activities, community service, all that stuff. So right at the beginning of 9th grade, I have a lot of students over the years have come and sat in my chair, you know, in 12th grade when they're sitting there and applying for colleges, and they're like, oh my gosh, if I had realized my freshman year how important it was to get those grades, or how important it was, you know, that it really mattered, I would have done things differently. So starting and thinking about those processes and what you want to do during middle school would be great, but just understanding that it gets real in high school from the day you set foot in the door.
Hi, I'm Reade Rizzolo from FTCC. Sorry, I'm a recruiter here, and I just wanted to kind of chime in to what Ms. Theel said and let you know that I think it's never too early to start thinking about planning for college, but specifically while you're in high school, there are opportunities for you to take some of the prerequisites that you might need when you get to college. And so if you plan early enough so that you have room in your high school schedule to get those in, you could potentially take advantage of the High School Connections program and get some of those prerequisites taken care of while you're in high school, tuition free. So I think that's really smart to just kind of be laying out the groundwork for that. You're also welcome to come visit Fayetteville Tech and any other colleges that you think that you might be considering. I think it's really wise to go on visits and just kind of see where you think you might fit well.
And I think, Reade, I'm going to leave you up here on our spotlight because this is a question that would probably tie directly to you, and some of our counselors may want to chime in as well. What are some of the differences between the 2-year community college and a 4-year college and university? And we'll start with you, Reade.
Okay, so one of the main differences is because we're 2 years, we offer associate degrees and diplomas versus the bachelor's degrees that are offered at the 4-year school. There are 58 community colleges in North Carolina. Fayetteville Tech is the 3rd largest of them. And we have an open door policy. That's another big thing. We want anybody who wants to go to college to have that opportunity. And so we are not really concerned with anything more than, did you graduate from high school or do you have a high school equivalency? We're not looking straight at your GPA or your test scores or any of that for our admissions process. Now, some of those things we will factor into scholarship opportunities and things. So I do try to tell the high schoolers that does not mean don't worry about your high school GPA. We want you to keep your GPA high and study hard. But that open door policy gives everybody a chance to start with a clean slate and get their college career kicked off on the right foot.
I would like to add, if you don't mind me adding, Reade, many of the community colleges in North Carolina have an articulation agreement with the UNC system schools. So if you were to start off at a 2-year community college here in North Carolina, most, if not all of your college courses that you take will transfer to a 4-year university, a public university.
Ms. Brantley, I think you wanted to chime in.
Yes, I just wanted to add that a 2-year college, community college, is a great way to save money on your education overall as well. It's also a good place for young people to kind of get their feet wet in the college pool. Try it out and see if it's a good fit for you while you're potentially still living at home at a much affordable price. So I'm all for 2-year universities and then stack it and then move on to the 4-year. I'm sorry, I'm Nore Brantley. I'm the Career Development Coordinator at the district level for the high school students in Cumberland County School. I failed to introduce myself. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay, thank you. So our next question, our Cumberland Family Academy really looks at communicating with our parents. So our next question is, what are our parents' roles in the college application process? Where do our parents fit in the college application process?
I just wanted to say the biggest thing is support, supporting your child, but also like helping them make a plan. And then most importantly, making them accountable. So if they say, you know, we want to go to NC State, we want to go to UNC Pembroke, discuss with them one of those deadlines, help them have a calendar or a planner, write in those deadlines, what are some things like you guys could do together is, research what are the requirements? Are they looking at ACT scores? What's the minimum score they're looking for? What programs do they have? Because we do have a lot of students who will say they want to go to a particular school, but what they want to major in is not at that school that they want. So they just need a little bit of additional support for that. And I would also say for parents too, just kind of be open to making those college visits with them so that you can experience, the campus with them, because your child. So you could tell, if they're going to a huge school, would they fit in there? Are they a homebody? Are they going to get homesick, or what's the distance? But just mostly just supporting them with their decisions and then helping them make a plan so that they're accountable for that plan.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. Parents, it's very important to have an open and honest discussion with your students about your expectations, their expectations, what they want to do, where they want to go. My own personal experience, I got into college and I said, "Hey, Mom, great. I got in," and she said, "Good job. Now, how are you going to pay for it?" And I'm like, "What? With my college fund," and she was like, "What are you talking about?" And so, it was a conversation we'd never had, and I didn't even know. Yeah, I just assumed, so kids don't know until they know. And as parents, I think sometimes we forget that, or we just don't think that we need to have that conversation yet because they're still kids. But having a realistic conversation, if you live in North Carolina and you want to go to the University of Georgia, that might be a little out of the budget. Or if I live in Fayetteville and I want to go to Asheville, UNC Asheville, but that's a little too far for Mom to handle, then I need to know that too, and you don't want to spend money and time doing applications to schools that the parents are not going to let you go to as a student. So I think having some of those conversations so that they know what the expectations are, the parameters, and also I get a lot of people want to go to Chapel Hill, but it's a big school. And like Ms. Locklear said, your child and if that's going to be a good fit or not. So having that conversation with your child, like, you've never really been to a school that big, and maybe it would be better to start somewhere smaller and check it out, that kind of thing. So just have conversations with your child, find out what they're thinking, where they want to go, why they want to go there, and just be open with them.
If I could just chime in one thing too, I think another thing I love to see the parents supporting the students. I also love to see a parent who is open to acknowledging what the strengths of that student are, and if they fit better with a 2-year school than a 4-year school, to be open to that. I think you'll learn a lot about Fayetteville Tech, hopefully tonight and going forward, of the opportunities that they could have with just a 2-year degree. It would be a good opportunity for them. But then also I have a lot of, especially the high schoolers, coming in with parents, and the parents do all the talking. And I love to see that they're supporting the student. But if you could sort of empower them to do the talking for them, and then you act more as the assistant to them, I think that really is helpful for them to kind of start moving in that direction of being ready for college and being ready to handle those decisions for themselves.
Thank you both for answering that question for us. So when our students are in high school, we hear a lot about their transcripts. What are some of the things that our colleges and universities are looking for when they're looking at our high school students' transcripts as they begin to apply for either the 2-year or 4-year college or university?
I think a lot of colleges will look at the school profile for the school that the student is attending. How many AP classes does that child's particular school offer? How many honors classes is offered at that school? And then they're going to look at the transcript and see the rigor that is listed in the transcript. Did this student challenge themselves? Did they take honors classes? Did they take dual enrollment classes over at Fayetteville Technical Community College? Overall, their weighted GPA, which would be different from their unweighted GPA.
Scholarships. I think we have a lot of parents that are interested in hearing about scholarships and ways, as Ms. Theel mentioned earlier, how we're going to pay for college. What scholarships or what opportunities, or how do families go about finding out about scholarships and additional information about scholarship opportunities?
So Cumberland County has invested in a program called Major Clarity, and it's a career interest, or it's a career platform. College, you look at different careers, colleges. There's so much stuff that you can do on Major Clarity, but one of the big things that is in there is scholarships, and you can do searches for very specific scholarships, like to certain schools or that have certain parameters, or just look at all the scholarships overall. So that's one tool that all of our students have access to, and if they don't know how to access that, they can speak to their counselor, who can help them figure that out. CFNC, the College Foundation of North Carolina, they have scholarships listed on their website that are specific to North Carolina students only. So that's, a smaller pool of students that are applying for these scholarships, as opposed to scholarships that are open to nationwide students. Big Future is the College Board who hosts the SAT. They have a scholarship website that has tons of scholarships on there. But those are, again, open to everybody in the country, so your odds of getting those are a little bit slim. Most of the big money comes from the colleges themselves, so definitely check out the college website, and I'll look for all the scholarships that you qualify for on each specific college website, because that's where, and it's not necessarily a full ride or anything, but that's where the bigger money comes from. Some of the other scholarships are more like $1,000 or, $2,000 or whatever, but more the bigger money that people are looking for comes from the colleges themselves.
Okay, so as we continue to have our conversation about paying for college, which is a big deal for students and for families, what is the difference between a scholarship, a loan, grants, etc., that could be used to pay for college? What are the difference? But what is the difference between those things?
So with grants and scholarships, you don't have to pay that money back. So whenever you're doing your search, especially making sure that your students are doing the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, that's actually open this month. So have your students reach out to their counselors to get that done. But those will offer different grants that your student might be eligible for. And those do not have to be paid back. That information goes to the school that they're applying to, and they'll create a financial aid package for your student. Scholarships, like Ms. Theel was telling you before, go to those websites and you just want to search for anything that your student might be eligible for. There's scholarships, anything from academic to the color of your hair or eyes. There's literally scholarships for everything. And you kind of want to stay away from loans. However, loans will be in that financial aid package, but just understand that loans you have to pay back. So usually that's based upon after graduation, once a student gets a job, but there's always certain speculations within each of those loans. So whenever you're offered a financial aid package, you might be awarded $5,000 in loans and $2,000 in grants and scholarships. Just understand that $5,000 in loans will be having to pay back. One website, and I'll drop it in the chat, that I like to point students and parents to is salliemae.com. It is a loan website. However, if you click on college planning at the top, it has a breakdown of scholarships, grants, and also loans. So it gives you different links to different descriptions so that you get more information in detail on what a grant is, what a scholarships are, and then also what loans are.
And I think a lot of people don't realize colleges expect you to pay for some of your college. They expect you to actually, they're not going to give you generally a free ride. Most of them aren't going to give you a free ride, 100% free ride. They expect that you're going to pay something for your college education. And for most high school students, they can't afford to pay that outright, which is where the loans come in. Almost every financial aid package is going to have a loan involved because they're expecting you to contribute to your education. So when you're looking for scholarships, what you want to do is find the cost of attendance and then all of the grants that you get. And then in between there is either the loan money or the money that that you're going to have to pay out of pocket. So you want to give enough scholarships to cover the cost in between the grants and the cost of attendance. So you're trying to get enough scholarship money to cover those loans. So that's when you're looking for scholarships. How much scholarship money do I need? You need enough so that you don't have to take out a loan, or the parents don't have to take out loans.
Thank you for that information regarding the difference between our scholarships, our loans, and our grants, and also the information of where to do some research to find out more about what scholarships are out there. I think, Ms. Locklear, you mentioned you can get a scholarship for a variety of different reasons. And so students and families may want to take that into consideration when looking for scholarship dollars or ways to plan for their financially for taking care of college for their student. Ms. Brantley, we are going to take a little shift and talk a little bit about our CTE, our Career and Technical Education department and program. What does career and technical education provide for high school students that could give them extra support for college prep?
Well, there's support on many different levels for our CTE students and for all students. First off, let's start at the classroom. It was mentioned earlier, our teachers, especially our CTE teachers, because those are the ones I'm most familiar with, but all teachers have been to college. So they're going to be, have a point of reference. They're going to be able to, at minimum, share their experience with you. We also make sure in CTE that we get our teachers out and about into colleges and universities. For example, Fayetteville Tech hosted a health science showcase just this week. So we had teachers and facilitators that were there chaperoning students. So whatever those teachers and chaperones learn, they bring back to the classroom and share with students as well. So at every high school, you also have a CTE facilitator, which serves as a great resource for you. And then at the district level, that's where I come in. I'm a career development coordinator. And so I'm always available to share information with students as well. I can put my email in the chat room if anybody wants to reach out. I'm certainly there to help as well. So all levels, classroom, school level, district level, CTE is there to support our students.
Thank you, Ms. Brantley. And I know personally, CTE has some awesome experiences that did not exist to the level they are now when some of our parents were in high school. So there are some great opportunities for students to participate in some programs to help them prepare or plan for what they're going to do after they graduate. So thank you for sharing that about our CTE department. Ms. Rizzolo, FTCC. So FTCC offers a number of college access opportunities for students. When parents are thinking about what is the best option for their child, why should they consider community college?
A lot of reasons. There is so much that Fayetteville Tech can offer to your family, to your child. I have a sixth grader, so I'm already kind of working on preparing for her. And I just feel like it can fit into everybody's long-term goal, whether their long-term goal is to go to a four-year school or get out into the workforce. I think that Fayetteville Tech can help them with that. One of the biggies, of course, is the cost. And the cost to go to the community college is only about $2,500 per year for in-state tuition. So you were talking about scholarships and financial assistance. So often the students that come here get enough Pell Grant money to pay for their entire amount of tuition, their books, and sometimes they have money left over at the end that can help them with other educational expenses. And so it's a great way, even if it's just for the first 2 years of their four-year degree, to save a lot of money. That's one reason. The fact that the open door policy I mentioned will allow anybody to come in and start with a clean slate. It makes for a wonderful transition for people from high school into a large university. And statistically, statistics actually show that the students who go to the university after having been to the community college are better prepared and more successful because they have that foundation of time management and good study habits and things that every one of us learns during our first couple of years, sometimes the hard way. But we also have great job placement rates. That's part of what the community college system does, is that they keep abreast of what the demand is for certain careers, and we offer that training based on what the demand is. So for the programs that we offer, which is over 300 different programs, our job placement rate is fantastic. A lot of our students are getting hired into their jobs before they've even graduated from not Terry Sanford. I was there all day today, from Fayetteville Tech. And so it's really great. Many of them are, which I hear all of the counselors and me myself just gasping at this sometimes, but many of them are potentially 19 years old, graduating from college and making a starting salary that is higher than people with their master's degrees are making after working for 25 years. So they are really starting out on the right foot with no loan debt to pay back in most cases. So it begins their futures really on a positive note. The last thing I will mention is that the class size is small. Even though we have a lot of students, sometimes 11 to 12,000 students here at Fayetteville Tech at one time, the class size is still 20 students, 25 students in a class. So your students are getting a lot of one-on-one attention from their instructors. The instructors want to see them succeed, and they're going to treat them like adults and give them a lot of responsibility. But at the same time, you've got people looking out for them and resources that they can take advantage of to help them along the way.
Thank you, Reade, for sharing that. So we have several families in our chat, several families in our room who have kids or students that are seniors. And we mentioned earlier about this is a college application season. Students should begin applying for college. So students that are in their senior year and they are beginning to plan for college, what should they continue to focus on while they're waiting on their acceptance letters? And I'm going to make this question a two-part question. When do students start to receive their acceptance letters?
I don't mind tackling that question. The biggest thing that we tell students here at E.E. Smith High is to finish strong. A lot of students get senioritis. I think that's happening around this building right now as we speak. But they have to keep in mind that when they apply to college during the fall semester of their senior year, they're sending in their transcript as it is at the moment. At the end of the year, they have to send a final transcript to whatever school they've applied to. So let's say a student gets accepted to my alma mater, NC State University, and they initially start off with a 3.9 or 4.0 GPA, and they get senioritis and decide to take a break from their classes, and their GPA drops. Well, it does happen sometimes that a school will rescind their acceptance. So we don't want students to get lazy or lackadaisical during their senior year. They need to finish strong. And as Ms. Theel and Ms. Locklear said earlier, continue to search for scholarships. Remember, college is not cheap. So while they're still working hard in their classes, they need to continue to research scholarships. Now, as far as the second part of the question about acceptance letters, if a student applies during early admission or early decision deadline, typically they will receive their acceptance letter prior to the end of the first semester of high school. If they do regular deadline, it could be anytime after January, February, March timeframe. So it all depends on when they apply, when they'll get acceptance.
Okay, so we've talked about some of our opportunities with Cumberland County Schools. We've talked about what FTCC offers, just a brainstorm of some of these financial opportunities that families want to consider. Students are thinking about what colleges or universities they should apply to. Is there a best practice or a number of schools that students should apply to for their college applications? Is there a magic number that we have for students?
I would say, and I always tell students a minimum of 3. And that's definitely a minimum. And that is one school that is a reach school. Like you really want to get into, your GPA's there, but maybe not, it's not definite, you've got to wait for that decision. And then a 50-50 school, you've got a pretty good shot of getting in. By all means, you should get in. Your GPA is good enough, but maybe it's a numbers game. I think a lot of people don't realize that, like NC State, they only take about 5,000-6,000 students a year, but they get like 25,000 applications. So you may be very well qualified to get in, but you're not going to, just because of the numbers. And it has nothing to do with you or your ability. It just has to do with their capability and capacity. And then what I call a safety school, a school that you should basically get into with your eyes closed. You meet the minimum requirements, you meet the test scores, all that good stuff. And even, so you should get into that without any problem. And that's just a minimum. I would always recommend that you apply to maybe a couple of 50-50 or a couple of safety schools, just in case, but definitely no less than 3. You want to keep your options open.
And college applications. My mom used to say, nothing in life is free. So is there a cost to college applications? And the second part of the question, are there any tips or recommendations that you have regarding those college application fees?
Yes, parents, listen. Next week is free college application week. This isn't all of the schools, but there is a wealthy list of schools who are waiving their application fee all of next week. So I think it's starting October 18th through the 22nd, so Monday through Friday. I know at our school, we have a college advisor who is opening up the library, helping students fill out that FAFSA, and then helping them fill out their college applications. So definitely reach out to those school counselors so we can get you that list of schools. I know it's all of the community colleges. Most of the community colleges, if not all of them, don't have an application fee anyway. But, a lot of your bigger schools, they do. And then the other thing is sometimes we do have, just like the ACT and SAT, there is some waivers. So if you qualify for free or reduced lunch, you can get that lunch form from the county, and you could submit that to your school, and then we can supply you with a waiver for that as well.
Thank you. So free college application week, yes, October the 18th through, what was that final date?
22nd.
October 18th through the 22nd for free college application week. That is excellent news. And you mentioned ACT and SAT testing. When should students begin taking it, and how important is the score when applying for college or universities?
Well, in the state of North Carolina, all juniors will take the ACT free of charge as part of the accountability model for all high schools. So students in the state of North Carolina in their junior year will take the ACT for free, no charge. And that score actually counts towards any admission that they want to apply for during their senior year. Now, we did offer the pre-ACT to a lot of 10th graders, which is like a practice ACT test. So in their 10th grade year, a lot of students across Cumberland County will be taking the pre-ACT, which will give them a good indication of how well they could do on the ACT. As a rule of thumb, you want to at least get through maybe Math 3, which is Algebra 2, before you take the SAT or the ACT, because of the level of math on both of those tests. So for the most part, as a junior, you want to be taking the ACT and the SAT. And a lot of times students will say, what's the difference between the two tests? One is an aptitude test and one is an achievement test. In North Carolina, we seem to focus more on the ACT because of the accountability, but all schools across the nation pretty much take either test. And I will throw this little tidbit of information in as well. Let's say you take the ACT 3 times. The first time you do better in the math and the science section. Second and third time you do better in the reading and the writing. Most schools will super score, meaning they will take the better score of each test and use that as the admission criteria for their particular school. It's going to vary from school to school about whatever SAT or ACT score they want to accept. I will throw this out. This year, all public universities in North Carolina are test optional, meaning that there is no test requirement to get into any of the public universities in North Carolina. So now is a good time for our seniors.
Is there a website to see the colleges for college application week?
Yes, so I actually just dropped it in the chat prior to that. It's the https www.cfnc.org. So if you click on that, that takes you to the CFNC website. But your students can create a free account if they haven't already, but there's flyers with the list of the ones that are offering free applications next week.
Perfect. Thank you. My next question, even with COVID-19, should parents take students on college visits?
I would say absolutely. A lot of the college are doing virtual visits, which is pretty cool. So they'll have, just a setup like this, but they'll also, either show videos of their different campuses, just depending on where you are. But real quickly, my little story was I was trying to choose between going to UNCW and UNC Charlotte, and I did not go on my college visits. I chose to go to UNC Charlotte, and I'm so thankful that I did, because I realized that I don't really like the beach very much. And when I finally did visit UNCW's campus, it just really didn't suit me and suit my needs. But I fell in love with Charlotte's campus. I'm truly a city girl, so had I known that prior, it would have been a whole lot easier decision for me as well. But I would strongly, strongly encourage you to, because once the students walk onto campus, they'll get a feel of it. And sometimes, it's very intimidating, or sometimes they'll get that feel, oh, this feels like home. And then they'll just fall in love with the campus. So I would definitely recommend that. Obviously, if it's within your budget or your distance, and even if it's not within your distance and your student wants to go to Appalachian, well, take that trip with them so that you can see how far and what the travel will be like if your student is that far away.
This is Reade from FTCC. I would love for y'all to come see our campus. And I know you're right here in town and probably have even driven by it 1,000 times, but I would definitely invite you to come visit FTCC. And I also encourage you to visit other colleges as well. I think that that is a great way for someone to see if they could envision themselves there and if it would be a good fit for them. Through our tours, we typically cater them for the individual. So if you have a certain program that you've picked out that you're interested in, just call us ahead of time. We can get it scheduled, and then we would actually make a visit over to that program area or a couple of areas if you're not sure of which one. And then you can speak to the chairperson, see some of the students in action, and see the environment, the lab, or whatever space there is. We also have an open house coming up November 4th from 5 to 7, and that would be a great opportunity to not only see the campus, but to speak to all of the different program directors and kind of explore your options.
So thank you so much for answering that for us. We have another question in the chat. We have a parent that is working towards getting this student enrolled in college and university. Can a junior apply this year for college admissions for when they graduate?
Unfortunately, no. You can take the SAT or ACT in advance, and they'll use that for college admission purposes, but you cannot apply until the fall of your freshman year, the fall of your senior year. So, and actually that goes for most scholarships as well. Most scholarships you cannot apply to until your senior year of high school. So what I tell students for that is to go ahead and look in advance. If you qualify for a scholarship as a freshman, sophomore, your GPA is a certain range, you can kind of create a calendar or a list of scholarships that you want to go ahead and apply for your senior year. Because they usually come around the same time every year. It's the same amount, same time, usually the same website. So you can have a list prepared in advance, but you can't apply to scholarships or colleges until that senior year of high school.
I also wanted to add, if you go to any of those colleges' websites, there's always somewhere where you can get more information, and you just type in your information, whether it's an email or address, and the colleges are happy to send you lots of information. So just go to their websites and sign up for Get More Info or call, and they will be glad to send you stuff in the mail or send you a lot in your email.
Thank you. So we have another question in the chat, and parents, please feel free to enter your questions in the chat as we begin to wrap up our session tonight. But our question is, does Cumberland County Schools offer college tours, or do you know of any organizations that take students on college tours or HBCU tours?
I don't mind answering that question. I can say here personally at E.E. Smith High School pre-COVID, we would definitely take students on college tours. And as far as HBCUs, we definitely, obviously, we're right around the corner from Fayetteville State University. So our students would definitely walk over there. We've been to North Carolina A&T State University, as well as Winston-Salem State University. I will say that COVID has kind of restricted some of our movement. So it's been a little difficult to get approval to do college tours. But I would say this, if you're able to do that as a parent, either whether it be a virtual tour or actually taking a student on campus, that is something that you definitely should try to organize.
Okay. So while our families are still brainstorming, please feel free to enter your questions in the chat. I want to ask one final question and give the opportunity, because I missed it in the beginning, and I'm so excited about having you all on our panel, that I was supposed to ask you to introduce yourselves and what schools you represent. So I'm going to build this into our last question. Do you have any final recommendations or comments you would like to leave with families? And also, when answering that, can you give us your name and what school or your role in the district while you're answering our question about any final recommendations or comments for families?
My name is Jennifer Theel. I'm the school counselor at Cumberland Polytechnic. Prior to that, I was at Cumberland International and Terry Sanford High School. I've been with the county for about 20 years now, so I'm getting old. But anyway, so one recommendation that I do want to say is that the FAFSA, I know that Ms. Locklear mentioned the FAFSA earlier. It did open this month. October 1st is when it opened. Definitely fill that out as soon as possible. A lot of financial aid grants are first come, first serve. And so some of that money does run out. And if you don't get your applications in, you don't fill out that FAFSA form, you may not get all the financial aid that you can qualify for. So please, please, please make sure you do that. CFNC recently, all of the colleges in North Carolina recently began using the RDS, the Residency Determination Service. And so you have to enter your information in to prove that you are a resident so you can get in-state tuition. All of the information that your student needed to prove their residency is the same information they need to fill out the FAFSA. So if you gather that information for them to do one, they can just go ahead and do the other one while they've got it. And so that way you're not missing out on anything that they could be eligible for.
If I could add to the, go ahead, Gretchen.
No, go Reade, go.
Sorry. Okay. So I'm Reade Rizzolo, and I'm the admissions recruiter at Fayetteville Tech. And I just wanted to piggyback on that financial aid statement from Ms. Theel. It is a great time to get started on submitting your FAFSA application. And with that said, Fayetteville Tech is offering what's called a drive-in FAFSA day coming up on October 23rd. It is where all you have to do is pull into our parking lot on main campus, and representatives will run right out to your car with a computer and help you with your FAFSA. The great thing about it is it's for anybody. Even if you're not planning to come to Fayetteville Tech, these representatives will help you with that application, which is a federal application. It's not specific to a certain school. So please take advantage of that. It's October 23rd. It's a Saturday from 10 to 2. And we would love for you to come. I also see a question in the chat about community colleges offering sports. And so while I'm speaking, I'll just say yes, not every community college does. A few of them do. Fayetteville Tech is one of them that has an athletics program. And we offer men's and women's basketball, women's softball, men's baseball, and women's volleyball. And we are the Trojans, and we would love for you to come try out if you're interested. Thank you.
My name is Irma Locklear, and I'm a counselor at Southview High School. I've been a counselor for 3 years now. I'm actually new to the county, but prior to this, I was a college advisor at Robinson Community College. So I'm a little bit familiar on both aspects. And my little tidbit of advice would be to really encourage your student in their strengths and what they want to do. So for example, if your student doesn't know what they want to go to school for, don't just push the 4-year on them. I'm actually also a big advocate for 2 years as well, especially for those students who, maybe might go to college undecided. We'll let them do undecided at a community college. It will save a whole lot of money. But also, if they're really hands-on and they're interested in those CTE classes and those trades, really help them to explore those different programs. So just, if they're going to a 4-year, just make sure that what they want to do truly, like if you want to be a doctor, yeah, you're going to need that 4-year, that bachelor's, or to move on. But if you have a student who's just really interested in like automotive, for example, they could go to those community colleges, get those skills, and then get them quicker to the workforce because that's what they want to do. So just encourage, I just encourage the parents to really talk to your students about what they want to do and then find the best school that fits for them. So if it's not a 4-year university, great. We also have community colleges that have those certificate programs that, can get them into the workforce a whole lot quicker.
And good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Gretchen Walker. I've been at E.E. Smith High School for about 11 years now. Prior to that, I was at Jack Britt. So I've been with Cumberland County Schools for about 15 years now. So I'm with you, Miss Jennifer. I'm getting old too as well. So with that being said, my last bit of information or tidbit of advice would be to make sure that you partner with the high school that your student is attending. There are a lot of resources within each high school. I know here personally at E.E. Smith High School, we do a scholarship bulletin every single month for our parents to access local scholarships, grants, and any information about applying to college. So please, please, please utilize the counselors that are in your child's school and know that they're here to assist you throughout this process. I do want to address a question that I see from Dr. Dennis Corbin, I believe. I will say this about underrepresented groups attending college. Again, I can only speak for E.E. Smith High School, but we do have a partnership with Fayetteville State University. We work through a program called TRIOS, which includes Upward Bound, Talent Search, and the goal of those programs are to ensure that underrepresented youth have college access. So some of the things they do are different workshops about SAT, college planning. So again, reach out to your child's school and see if that's something that your child's school offers.
I'm Nore Brantley, Career Development Coordinator with Cumberland County Schools. I'm housed at A.B. Wilkins, but I serve all the high schools in the county. And so my final words would be kind of piggybacking on what a lot of people have said. Really focus in on what's the right fit for your child. And, consider community college as a way to find out if that's a good fit for them. Coming from someone who jumped right into the college pool that was not ready for the 4-year university experience and was not successful in that environment because I was nowhere near prepared. I say, I had a good friend of mine that told her sons, you give me 50 credits from a community college, and then I'll send you anywhere you want to go. And I think that is great advice, or at least 1 year to demonstrate that they have the time management skills and everything that they need to be successful in college. And that undecided major is a big deal in all the career development that they need to do and career assessment. So consider staying home and getting your feet wet at a community college before you dive into the big pond.
I am going to thank you so much for introducing yourself. I apologize for jumping right into the questions and not acknowledging our panelists and the different areas that they represent. We have a couple questions in the chat. We're running low on time, but I'm going to throw these out to our panelists. Is there any guidance for students who have parents that are 100% VA disabled for our military families?
So yes, most of our students whose parents are 100% disabled, it depends on the disability. It depends on, it's like a formula, and I don't know that formula, but if they have to talk to the VA, www.va.gov, and I can drop that in the chat. And if they contact a representative there, they'll help walk them through that paperwork. Like I said, there's certain levels of disability. There are certain levels that the VA will pay. So for some students, they'll pay 50%. For some, they'll pay 90%. For some, they'll pay 100%. So you definitely have to go through the VA, though, to fill out all of that paperwork.
Thank you, Ms. Theel. And I think that answers our next question about VA 100% disabled. Please, take the opportunity to contact the VA to find out what information you can about that specifically. And then our last question for tonight from Dr. Corbin. In research, some neighboring states offer in-state tuition. Any thoughts on that or any feedback from anyone regarding in-state tuition in other states?
I've only had one or two students who've ever come across that. And that would be a school, you would have to do the research on that, I would say, on your own. If you're thinking about going to school in Virginia, it would be, private schools do not offer in-state tuition for anybody. So it would have to be a state school. So if you're thinking about going like to Virginia and going to one of the state schools, I would just call their financial aid office and talk to them and ask if they offer the tuition for neighboring states. Some schools will, some schools won't. So it's not like a one size fits all or all schools in Virginia offer it or anything like that. So you definitely have to call each school that you're interested in out of state. But like I said, if it's a private school, they're not going to offer in-state tuition. Everybody pays full price.
So again, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Theel, for answering that question for us. Families, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our College Access Cumberland Family Academy session.